We Card Quest, guys, part of nooffseason.com sports card network. I've got my friend here, Ziggy No from Ziggy No Raw Card. What's the official name of your channel now, Ziggy?
I have Ziggy now, but you can find me. We're streaming right now on the Card Hunter. The Card Hunter is my new brand, I guess I'm going with. I'll always be Ziggy No, but the Card Hunter is what this content's around, and that content is around making money buying into sports card breaks.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. So we're on the football card quest. Ziggy knows this, but for anybody else new tuning in, my name is Andy. We are 100% dedicated to football cards, research, and selling tips. And we also want to help you sharpen your edge and maximize the amount of profit you can make in the football card hobby. And so Ziggy has been instrumental in dissecting how you can profit on 2023 Prizm football, which is one of the flagship brands of Panini. Everybody loves it. It's a very desirable, popular product. And Ziggy has been buying into a ton of breaks. And so last time, if you guys didn't catch part one, you should definitely check it out because Ziggy shared a lot of a strategy around breakerscomp.com and the ways that he buys into breaks and which breaks he buys into and how he determines the teams that he picks. And we dissected a lot of the rookie class from 2023. There's obviously a few of those guys in the playoffs like CJ Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, to name a few. So Ziggy, how has your breaking adventures been since last time we talked about 3 weeks ago?
It's been awesome. And let me say it was better than expected. And let me start by saying this. First of all, breaking is gambling. Okay. I'm not going to BS people. I'm not telling people to go out and break. What I'm trying to do is share with you the style that I use, and I know others will do the same thing, and how we're able to put ourselves in a position to profit. Because really what breaking comes down to, it's statistics, it's numbers, it's checklists, it's the cards are. Now, a lot of other things go into that. Timing, how many times you're running it. I will share with you lessons learned. So a few things I'll tell you. When I got into this break, I set aside a budget of what I expected to spend, and that was $2,000 to $3,000. I ended up going over that, around $3,700 total spent on breaks, right? Now, out of that, I got a whole bunch of cards, and I'll share some of those with you guys today. I fully believe I will get back more than I spent on breaks when I sell these cards. And I will say this too. I am not rushing to sell. Okay. For example, I got a nice, beautiful Black Shimmer 101. What's it? Josh Downs. I got his Black Shimmer.
Oh, nice.
Right. And when I posted that, I've gotten several people sending me offers. Hey, I want to sell that card. I've told everybody I'm not doing anything yet. Now, and I'll tell you that I wait till I grade and I sort before I sell. I'll even wait timing wise. And that's another thing that's perfect right now. I got into these breaks. I had some really good hits. Quarterbacks are doing really well. CJ has just gone off. So the cards I got from CJ, their values have gone up even more. When I get those all graded, I'm expecting them to come back between April and July. So timing on this is perfect for me. So I feel like I'm in a really, really good position with what I came back in my safari, as I refer to it. I'll also say I really think the analogy here to think about, guys, is sports card breaking is a lot like poker and bass sports fishing, right? When you're out competitively fishing for bass, similar thing, because you're going out there in the ocean, you don't know your catch, you all have your skills, you've got to go get some fish, but there's a competition behind it. Same thing with what I look at in breaking. So I can answer questions for the audience. I'll give you some quick highlights. Got in the first off the line. It was definitely the best value, best bang for the buck as far as how much I spent and the hits I got back on that. A lot of the shiny cards that are the shimmers to 25 and 35. I got a Hutchinson to 25, a blue one. That's going to grade well, probably sell really well. I also got some 2 gold shimmers, number to 10. So again, Prizm gold. They're not as good as the true golds. These are shimmer golds. But again, those are vets that will come back and give me some money. Did really well in quarterbacks. I killed it on Bryce Young. I have a 75 and a 99 of Bryce Young. I did well on CJ. I have a bunch of CJ base, a bunch of CJ inserts, and a CJ silver. No color from that. And I'll say this too, looking back at what I did, when my strategy, guys, was to spread the net wide, and this is kind of a lesson learned. When I started this, CJ hadn't taken off. I was looking at the quarterbacks. I looked at the Lions, the Colts, the Titans, the Carolina Panthers, and the Texans, and I put money on all of them. If I would start today, I would probably put most of that money on just the Texans, right? I only did one hobby box Texan break. Most of them were retail blaster breaks at Texans, where I did a lot of first off the line of the Colts and the Lions. Got a lot of color back on that. So just so much great hits, great lessons, great stories, seeing great breaks. I can answer anything you want to talk about. I don't know where I can go from this. I'll even take some cards out and show them to you guys.
Yeah, so you bought into a variety, just so everybody knows, you bought into a variety of blaster box breaks, hobby box breaks, first off the line hobby box breaks, and you bought it. Did you buy into any mega box breaks, or is there a difference there between a mega box and a blaster box?
Great question. I did not get into the mega box breaks. I also did not get into the retail box breaks. Now, can I share with the audience here? Can I share my screen?
Sure. Yeah.
I think here's another thing's important to share with you guys is that I skunked in a lot of breaks. Okay. I don't want everybody to think it's all, he was just lucky. He hit everything he wanted to. My strategy is to cast a big net because you're going to hit somewhere and you're going to miss. You got to just have a strategy of how much you're going to spend and where you're going to spend it, in my opinion, when you're doing this.
Yeah.
I also think it's key is that Prizm's a very, very lucrative product because you can hit, let me get my entire screen. Hold on. And hopefully this doesn't mess up. Tell me if you're seeing that.
Yeah, you want me to add it in? There we go.
Yeah, please go ahead. Okay, so Prizm, what's great about Prizm is the Prizm base cards have value. You can still grade Prizm base and make money off them. That's not the case with a lot of other products. So I focused on Prizm as the product I'm going to be breaking, buying into, chasing this way. I would not use this strategy with other products. You'll get slaughtered. Okay, but if you look at my breakdown here on the sheet, okay, the blue are hobby box cases. So I early on bought into a Mojo full case of the Colts, and I also bought into Carolina in a box in Carolina. And this is a bargain breaks, and then I bought Carolina down here in Mojo breaks. I did a lot of retail when retail was actually out before the hobby boxes were out, right? Which is another weird thing that's happened this year. Normally hobby doesn't come out till afterwards. Right now, retail box breaks are probably cheaper. As an example, I paid for the Texans $14 a box for the Texans in this break. I paid $15.50. One thing that I look at when I'm buying into breaks is what is the percentage of the chase versus the total cost of the box. That's roughly 40% there, 30-something%, because the box is $35. I'm paying $15, right? So those are expensive chases. Mm-hmm. Those numbers have come down, and you'll see, look at my ratios here when I'm chasing like the Titans and Carolina and Colts. What I like about this, guys, is I have a lot of cards of all these teams, right? I've actually spread my risk over a lot of places. If I had focused everything to CJ, I would probably be in a much better position as far as the cards I'd have, the base cards, the inserts, color cards that I could have. Some people might argue, well, maybe you'd miss more. Again, on these, if you look here to the left-hand side, I have skunks here. Skunk basically means I hit nothing of note, no graded color, no silver prisms, and primarily of the quarterbacks, right? You can see here in this Texan break down here, the state line break, I have it as a skunk. I did actually get a number 125 Tank Dell rookie, purple, which is a gorgeous rookie wide receiver card, which I'll slab up. I also have some other great, wide receivers, running backs that I got that, again, I will slab those guys up and we'll still make some money off them. And I'll tell you this too, when I'm looking to sell these guys, I'm looking at my total. How much did I put into this, right? Which is down here, $38.50, right? I will say I did do here's a no huddle break that has not come back yet, but that to me, I hit one flashback on that. When I look at total amount I spent, I'll then add my grading fees to this later on. Okay, so when I grade, let's say I grade 20, 50, whatever cards those are, I'll average the grading fees out, and I'll come out my average cost per slab of all the cards in my hits. Some of those cards will obviously sell for a lot more money than others, but it gives me a base, right? I'm targeting a base that, let's say $30 to $40 for the slab will be the cost I'll have for the finished cards that come back. I think right now I have about 50 cards that I'm targeting to grade from all these breaks. Might go a little bit more if I grade some of the other base, but this includes all my base rookie quarterbacks, all my color quarterbacks, and all the color of rookies, like I said, like the wide receivers and stuff. Let me go ahead and stop sharing and take any questions or anything.
Yeah, so you hit a CJ Stroud silver, and that was out of the first of the line, off the line.
No. So again, in first off the line, I did not take the Texans, a very expensive team. So I got CJ in the blaster box break. Right? And a couple of things to share too. Blasters are pretty greedy on those silver prisms. The silver prisms are in all the products, but they're not one per case. The gold or orange flash, they're about one good quarterback, maybe two good quarterbacks per 20 box case. And the CJs are running pretty hot. I'll also say I saw the retail products being broken right now. Those have the green ice in them. It does appear to me, this is just my perception, that there is a lot more non-numbered but color shiny CJ in these products. I don't know. It's because Panini, doesn't have the autograph in them, but there doesn't seem to be a shortage. I've been watching breaks where I watch mega box breaks. You asked about those. I didn't do the mega box breaks. I didn't think the value was there. They were going pretty expensive. And it says spend that money. I actually spent it on the Colts in the first off the line break. And I hit this baby right here, which is that black shimmer of Downs
Josh
there.
Downs.
I don't know how I can show that to you. But again, this is just a fun card to hit because I had no interest in it. It's also the story when they pulled it. They held this card to the last before they showed it. So they slow rolled it to the audience. I'll tell you this too. I knew at the time that the AR was already pulled. So when they pull it down, they go, Black Shimmer Colts. I'm like, well, that's good, but it's not AR. And they go, it's a rookie. I'm like, holy shit, who's their other rookie? Right? And then they show the card. I'm like, well, that's a great hit, man. It makes you a fan of a player you don't know either. When you hit a card in a break that you know nothing about the guy, it really makes you excited. Here are some of the two golds I got. Again, these are vet golds, so nobody's super special, but still fun to have. I don't know. You can. What's this? This is Jameson Williamson and then Michael Pittman.
Okay.
A lot of color here. I mean, just again, here's a stack of what is likely going off to PSA.
Nice. So, I was looking at the singles sold, and CJ Stroud, for example, the Prizm Silver base right now is a $500 raw card. And how much did you pay to get into that Texans blaster box break?
Sure. For that one break, it was 200 and 200. Let me make sure this is right. $280. The other one was 310. So to be fair, I wouldn't say for $280 I got that card. I'd have to be honest and say I got the Texans, and I spent let's see, $600 on the Texans and those breaks, and I also bought the Texans in state line breaks. That was $220. So I probably spent about $850. So maybe 1/4. That's what I'm saying. In my opinion, I didn't spend enough money on the Texans. Looking back, I wish I bought more Texans. But of the $800, let's say I spent $800 on the Texans. I got that silver Prizm. It's right now raw at 500. I think it's going to PSA 9, to be honest with you. It's a little off-centered. And when I go to grade, here's another thing too, I'll tell you guys. I'm not one of these guys who sits here and is going to pick through all these cards and go, which one should I send? I'm sending them all.
Oh, okay.
You know why?
That was going to be my next question.
I'll tell you why.
Because,
I'll tell you why. Grading is subjective.
Yeah.
We know that. Every now and then, these idiots put a 10 on something that should be a crooked 9, right? And a lot of times, they're going to give you a 9 on something you think's a 10. So I have no problem. And when I look at grading, I don't sit here and go, look, I've got a stack of hookers, right? Bunch of hookers. I don't care. I'm going to send them all off to PSA. If they come back a 9 or 10, I'm happy with that. 9 should still sell for more than raw. And even if I'm selling them at a loss, right? That's a loss on that one individual sale. On the total overall profit, it's not. And I will send those cards. Like, for example, I'm just right now, I did this in Prizm basketball last year. I'm right now just sending my Prizm crappy slab basketball to auction almost every other week to slaughter. Some of them come back at great value. Some of them come back losing a little money. I don't care. I've kept the higher trophy value cards for when I want to time the market. So kind of fast forward this. When I get these cards back in grading, I might take some of those hookers that are base Prizms that are 9s and send them off in the market just because I need some cash flow back to feed the system. I don't really care as much. I'll hold the silvers, the 10s. I'll time that stuff out. I've got a hooker autograph coming back, a shimmer to 25. That's going to be an awesome card. That's a redemption. It'll have to come in. Then I'll have to get it graded. So that's probably 6 months out. And again, if you look at Hooker, he's not playing next year. I mean, if you look at the way Golf's playing, Golf's coming back next year. It's going to be his team. Yeah. But I think this is great because there'll be speculation on Hooker for a while. Hooker could be out for 2 years, man. I also just love saying Hooker over and over and over. If you know.
Yeah, shout out to our man Derek Richards. Still looking for Bush and Messiah. If you've seen them, definitely reach out. Let us know in the comments. But he said he took Ziggy's advice and went heavy on the Hooker hand.
The thing is, here's the thing that I'll tell you about breaking. A challenge people get into, guys, you've got to have the budget and the stomach and the timing. Like, for example, when I did this, I wanted to have some cards that I will sell immediately because I need to get some cash in the future. If I'm more strategic, I would have definitely went heavier into Hooker because I do think for the dollar value, he's going to be, regardless if he even plays for 2 years, the speculation will be great. Because if the Lions will be a playoff level team with this guy coming out as a potential, all-star, no matter what he does, the speculation itself is great. Right now, though, I put a lot of money in the Colts because I feel like a lot of money will be going at AR by the time we get to the to the national, and obviously money is going to be in CJ. So I expect to sell my CJs and my ARs off this year, holding on to the hooker cards, probably holding off, and maybe, I don't know, maybe selling some of the Bryce and the who's the Titans guy, Will Levis.
Yeah, Will Levis. So yeah.
I'll tell you, I did really well on Bryce. I spent a lot more money on Bryce with Carolina. Carolina was cheap. It was an affordable team. I'll tell you this too right now. If I had this money again to do it over, I would do it right now because there are still some great prices. Breaks overall, the prices have gone down because there's not as much hype around it. The difference is, I'll tell you, is the availability is harder, right? So somebody would say, well, Michael, would you do it now versus later? Now, if I want to get the Texans, yeah, they might only be $800 in a case, but to get that spot in that case is hard because I'm competing with a lot of people to get them. When it first comes out, there's 10 people who have the case price, so it's easier to get that. That's a balance you have to trade off on, right? Prizm is a nice product where it will continue to break for months, in my opinion. You'll also be able to find blasters because I don't think they stopped making the blasters, in my opinion, man. I think you'll see a lot of the megas, the retails. And I'll tell you, like I said earlier, it feels to me like there's a lot more shiny this year. I don't think the hobby will care, though. Like, I think we all know they're printing like hell at Panini. We also know there's no autographs from CJ. But I think the hobby is just going to devour them. Where are they in a few years? I don't know. But I think there's a lot of fun and a lot of opportunity in these cards right now.
Yeah, we're tracking the best offer and buy it now sold volume on a daily basis. And routinely, we see all these 2023 guys pop in the charts right now, even guys that aren't playing. So, I pulled up, for example, you said Hendon Hooker right here, 54 2023 rookie cards sold within the last 24 hours. And I would bet probably 75% of those are from Prizm, or at least 50% probably.
What's the price? Is there an average price there?
So I don't have an average price
okay.
Per se, but I have their total number of different rookie cards from tcdb.com that have been printed to date. And then so the 62 is the amount of cards that have been added to the PSA database. That's week over week. So 62 in the last week. And this is how many buy it now or best offer accepted solds there's been in the last 24 hours. And this is
awesome.
Yeah, and so this is our hype ranking and our hype score, which is a little bit of a proprietary formula, but it's basically taking into account, their draft capital, their age, the team that they're playing on, like the power ranking of their team, combined with the social media popularity, like the size of the fan base and the geographical area that they cover and everything. So, yeah, I mean, to see people buying Hendon Hooker or even guys like JSN who didn't exactly have a stellar rookie season. I mean, all these guys, A-Chain, there's your guy, Josh Downs. I mean, it's very, very solid, like, numbers overall. I mean, he's a great slot wide receiver. He had a nice run this year with Gardner Minshew for most of the year. So I think he's an interesting player.
I hope he comes out and plays with AR. I mean, this is what's so fun about this, guys, is as you're in breaks, and I love being in breaks, right? And I do a lot of research as well, right? Like, for example, I'll watch the first half of a case. If I got outbid in it, I will watch it to see if I should buy the second half. So I see a lot of stuff, but you also see who's chasing who. You'll talk to a lot of the people who are doing the same that you're doing. I know people who are chasing a lot of these teams. This is a nice class to chase, whether you like the Vikings have the young wide receiver. There's some running backs. The Lions have a really deep class because they have a running back, they have a tight end, and a quarterback there. So you got a lot of value there in that team.
And a safety. Don't forget about those defensive guys, Diggy. Yeah, and a safety.
I got him, man. I got him too. I got a whole stack of Colts
Brian
cards,
Branch.
Man. And then I got Tajay Spears cards that you guys were talking about yesterday. Got numbered cards of his, Tank Dell. Yeah, man. It was a great time. It was a great time. I cannot wait. I wish I had more money to waste on this.
Yeah.
But I have to keep my budget the way it is, man. And I'll tell you too that, like I said, the patience. I could easily sell these and to go out and chase. I'm not going to do that. I'm sticking with my plan. I'm sending the PSA. I'm not getting into more stuff. I'm going to move forward and get ready for the next adventure out there.
So when you're grading, I want to go back to this comment from James Wynn, because we've all recently seen this Lamar Jackson BGS 8.5 that converted to BGS 10 pristine, and so when you're grading and you're just submitting in without really pre-grading, and so are you just like overall looking at the total? At the end of the day, you're looking at the total cost on average per card instead of like over analyzing individual cards,
Exactly.
like why spend the opportunity cost I could on that when I just, at the end of the day, I know all these ultra modern cards are set, besides 2021 Optic and Prizm, have like a 50% gem mint 10 rate. So it's like a coin toss whether you're getting a 9 or a 10 back in most cases. Is there anything egregious that you're looking for? Like, are you
I
like,
do.
yeah,
Like I say, if I have had cards that have horrible damage that I'm not going to sub, right? There are occasions, but for the most part, here's what I do. I look at them, but I'm blind, and then I do send them to a friend of mine who does the subbing for me. So I'm not subbing directly myself to PSA. I send to a friend. I pay him extra money to wipe. He also puts them in the little one touches and to give me a review. My goal with him is I said I just want PSA 9s or more. If he sees stuff that he thinks is going to come back an 8, he might let me know, and it depends too. Right? If it's like, if it's a silver quarterback, let's say it's a CJ, and he goes, I don't know, Mike, this one might come back an 8. It might not be a 9. I'm like, I don't care, slab it. I still would rather have it slabbed than sell it raw, right? Because I'll tell you, when I sell, I also don't like to deal with customer problems. Like, I want to sell and make people happy. So I'd rather sell you an 8 and a slabbed 8, and you can take it as it is, and you do what you want with it. Or I'll even be honest, I will crack my own 8s and resub them sometimes. If I get them twice and I'll go, okay, you're right, it's an 8, I'll get rid of it as an 8. But like I said, to me, grading is subjective. So every time I grade, I normally will get some wild 9s, an 8 or 8 or so here. I've got a handful of 8s around the room, but it doesn't make me ruin. In fact, here's a good example right now. Here's a Murray, came back an 8. This is a white sparkle Prizm. No way this thing should be an 8. I will go ahead and crack this and resubmit it, one of my submissions, and we'll see what it comes back as. But I don't let myself, in fact, here's another good tip. As big as grading is, a lot of people get paralyzed with not grading at all, right? They get the cards back and they let them sit around and they're like, oh, I'm going to get those graded. I'm going to get them graded. They don't get them graded and they sell them for cash. And then they look back and they blame the break. Oh, the break was terrible. I lost money. I didn't do very well. Well, it's you. You didn't follow through on the plan, right? In my opinion, part of breakings have a plan, have a system. So part of it is I have to send my cards out. Like this stack is going out. It will go out this week because I want these to get in the January submission. So I'll stack those up. I've also got a stack that I'll send to ComC, right? Because I'll send a bunch of these cards that I'm not sending to get graded to ComC. In ComC, they're in my ComC vault. I could later grade them there if I wanted to, if somebody takes off. But the every quarterback is going to be slabbed, in my opinion. What I will send to ComC are the inserts of quarterbacks, right? Those Prizm breaks, those portal cards, whatever. Those ones that are base, I'll send those to ComC. And like I said, that way I'm in a position to sell those cards, move those cards where I need to.
So what's your total investment been in the breaks? Do you know?
2,800 in the Prizm.
So are you pretty much
3,800?
3,800. Okay, so
yeah.
You've invested a total of 3,800 in the breaks. Are you and that, I think if I remember from part 1, that's pretty much your budget, right?
It was over. It was over budget. So let me a few things to share with you. Okay. So my initial budget was 2,000. It was 2 hobby boxes with a thought there that I could go as high as 3. And part of this, and I'll be honest, this is gambling. Okay. When you're at the table and you're hitting and you're playing poker, you're like, shit, I got a stack. I'm gonna go ahead and play some more. I'm playing with house money. I felt the same way after some breaks. So I took and bought into more breaks. Now the difference is, unlike poker, where you can take that and cash it out and go home with it, I have to take those cards and I have to go process them and I have to go sell them. That's why this is a lot like hunting. I shot them, but I got to wait for them to come in. And it took a couple of weeks for some cards to get processed and get sent to me by the breakers, by the way. One breaker worried me, but that's a side story. Anyway, once they come in, it's going to take me months to get them graded. So I try not to rush that process, try not to break that process. And then in the future, when I'm start selling those off, I'll be selling it with the goal to recoup the 3,800 I invested, and also, honestly, to have more than that. In fact, one thing I plan to do as I go through this on the channel and stuff is I'm going to take out probably 2 or 3 top cards and remove them all together from the equation and prove that you can actually not only make money, but you can keep a card for yourself. Like this card, I might just PC this card. I might never sell this card. It's just a great memory, man. I got a 101 Black Shimmer rookie wide receiver, man. That's freaking awesome. So that's another thing I love about breaking is you can create your own PC. You can get to meet other things, do other things. It gives you a lot of flexibility, I think, and you get value. I'll say this too. I know people say it all the time. I hear, well, if you just took the money from the break and bought the cards yourself, you get more cards. I disagree, because let's say it breaks $300, you're gonna go buy $300 of cards. Well, you're limited to only $300, so you're not going to be buying any Black Shimmers. You're not going to be buying any golds. You're not going to get any silver Prizms, right? You see what I'm saying? So you got to me, it is gambling, but it's a calculated gamble. Another quick plug I want to make, guys. There's a company, a website out there called Sports Card Analysis. And this guy runs the break simulator we talked about last time.
Mm-hmm.
His stuff's really good. He does a Prizm breakdown for you out there. My only comment to his is that his is very much about autographs, where if you know Prizm's not an autograph heavy product. I'm looking more at the shiny cards. But I love his statistics. And I'll say this too. I think there's a lot more people. What Breaker Comp is doing, right? What I do with looking at the per cost ratios of cards, looking at the cost per team, there's a lot of analysis going into breaking. I think I'm not alone. And I think you could see breaking become a competitive sport in the future, right? Like you could be sponsored. Think about this. Think of like fishing, okay? And here's what I'm even going to try to talk to some people into doing this in the future. Let's say if I get Jeff Wilson to sponsor a few teams, give them each $1,000 budget and let them go out and buy in breaks. And they have to buy in breaks, show the receipt for the break. They get to pick whatever break it is, and then show the hits they get from the break, right? And send them out to source. Go find cards and bring them back. And I think, and the person who brings back the biggest value or the best hit would win a prize or something like that from it. That's why I tell you, I love breaking when it's done. I'd like to see it regulated. I also am very big on PYT breaks for everybody who's listening to this. I'm not a random guy. I don't like these magic, weird bullshit breaks. I'll put it that way. I'm very picky, but I think breaking's just fun, man.
Yeah, I mean, the appeal to me is you don't really know what you're going to get. It is gambling, but at the same time, if I think you got, I think you've got to go into it with more than just one box. Like,
yep,
you kind of almost say like you got to buy into at least a few breaks, right? I mean, because one break, I did that before and I got absolutely nothing, and so I just like never broke again. But I should have said, instead of taking $100, let me take 500, let me take 1,000. Like, how much money do you think somebody needs to properly get into breaks?
Yeah, let me say this again. I don't want to give the wrong message because this is gambling, but my recommendation, when I watch people, for example, there's a lot of people opening blasters. They get 3 Prizm blasters. They open them up and like, I got nothing, or I got to do this. I'm thinking to myself, for that $100 you spent on Prizm blasters, you could have gotten into a break, a blaster break, 20K, a case blaster break of almost any team out there except for the Texans, right? For $100, you could get all the Colts or all the Lions in a $20 case. And again, some of them are competitive on eBay. You can find them on Facebook, but I think you're going to get more value for that if you try that. Now, what I'd suggest is that, first of all, I don't like single box breaks. I like case breaks or half case breaks because I want to know that I'm not getting the leftovers from a case where they pull the case hit out and you're just getting the extra free boxes. Okay. So part of my paranoia when I buy into breaks, I like it to be a sealed case or a half case where I can see what the first case was, or I'm watching the first 6 boxes, the second 6 boxes. So for me, I'm looking at least doing cases, and then I try to do at least 3 cases. So to answer your question, if I would you could look at the comps of, box breaks, Prizm, Lions, and see what a Lion's going for in a blaster break. You can also go to Breaker Comp. That's even a better one to do when I think about it. Break Comp. Go to Break Comp and pick a team that you like and find out what they're going for in hobby box or retail, whatever it is. And then I would do 3 cases of that team. I also have no problem spreading those 3 cases over 3 different breakers. Some people like to do the same breaker, but the realities are, if you buy Carolina Panthers in 3 cases of the same team, you're probably not going to hit in all of them, right? At the same time, someone will say, well, Michael, you might miss in 2 of them. You're right. So that's why I'm going to buy 3 cases and 3 different breaks. So it's up to you. It's a little bit of hocus pocus, maybe some suspicion, but I like to buy 3 cases of the team I'm going after, and 3 different breakers. That's my right now current strategy. But again, everybody can do differently, right? What I'd say too is don't get caught in chasing teams that you don't intend to buy into. Don't be the filler, right? One of the challenges with breaking is you buy their team, you're waiting for it to fill. Like I was in a Mojo breaks and their breaks wait to fill. And I'm just sitting there waiting and they're discounting other teams and people are buying them and sitting there going, yeah, that's a really good price. Don't waste that money on being a filler team. Don't buy the Kansas City Chiefs just because you cut the price down. Don't get in the fillers because you're wasting your strategy is to focus on the team that you're going in on or teams, right? If you're buying Carolina and the Lions, right? Whatever it is, stay focused. Don't chase. Don't be the fish. Don't be the filler. I will say another thing I've done too is I've bought breaks, not watch the breaks and just wait for them to come in the mail to see what I get. I think that's kind of fun too. I only do that with blaster box breaks. Hobby box breaks, I have to watch them. I'm just so excited, but
yeah. Yeah. So if I'm reading this right, then a case of Colts to
yep.
buy the Colts in a case of hobby boxes, which is 12 hobby boxes, it's about $1,000.
Yep. Wonder what the Texans are going for right now.
I just want to make sure I understand that properly.
Think about that. What that means is you have 12 boxes. Okay, you're in for less than $100 per box, right? There's 30 teams, so it's break out the ratio. I don't want to do the math. If it's a $1,000 box, about 10%, right? You're spending about 10%, 9%, 8%, something like that for the ratio. Now the nice thing there, Colts in the case of Colts, you're probably going to get a few base rookies. You should get some inserts. In my opinion, you should be able to grade those bases and probably get around $100 for a base PSA 10 of the quarterback. Now, there's a lot of ifs there. You got to get the card. You got to grade the card. You got to get the 10. But I would say in a case, I feel confident thinking I should get at least one PSA 10 base card from the quarterback I'm chasing out of that. That's a kind of a little rebate mine that I'm calculating. Now, I'm not also quick to sell that. I'm waiting for that card to come back, grade and everything. And then I also look at the market. Like I love to see what everything is selling for.
So the Texans look like they're not really that much more. I mean, yeah, I guess if you go, it depends on the breaker. But, I mean, if you look here, the average is about 1,350, 1,400 for the Texans.
The autos are live in the Colts, so they're going to be a little higher.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson autos.
If you look at Carolina, in my opinion, is really cheap in most of these cases right now. Look, what's Carolina's price right now? The $12. And I cannot thank Break Comp enough for what they do here by putting this information together. Another thing I'll say too, it's interesting. There are some breakers who like to share their information, and there's other breakers who do not, right? Who block Break Comp and other people from reporting. They don't like their numbers to be shared. I think that's interesting. I want more people who are in the community who are buying breaks. Like I will say, I desperately want regulation in this industry, whether it's self or government. We need to, encourage breakers and reward them through our business, those breakers who are publishing their prices, who are giving fair prices. Mojo Break, right? The guys at Mojo Break are probably one of the best big breakers I have seen in their pricing, their content, their consistency. I cannot say enough about them. And I did breaks with them. I skunked in every break I did with those guys. I spent about, just under $1,000 on breaks with them, and I didn't get any good hits, but I really love that the way they run their business. They publish their prices. And just if you want to know, they're not preferred on how they publish them. They're random when they publish their prices. They go very fast on their teams because they have good pricing. Teams that are not sold, as they get closer to break time, they'll publish their break time. They will discount them, so you can hang around and buy some teams on the cheap. I got Carolina Panthers in the no huddle breaks for I think $100 for $5 case. I thought that was a really good value when I was calculating stuff. I got some Bryce cards. If Bryce turns things around, I am well positioned in Bryce cards, man. I've got some beautiful Bryce cards.
Yeah, I think there will be some additional high. You get a long leash when you're a number 1 overall draft pick from Alabama, and you're going to have new coaches next year and probably some additional weapons and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a safe bet for him to have some hype heading in September, and you got all your grade results back. The other one I like is the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, just trying to chase Bijan Robinson because of the prices. I mean, look at this, $390 for a case. To get the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm sure there's probably some veteran cards in there too, like you mentioned, and but just to get a Bijan Robinson's a rare card, like rare rookie auto, would be probably almost worth it there at $390. So that's pretty cool. I mean,
what I would do is check the list for their inserts, right? So do they have mangoes? Do they have color blasts? Some of those teams do have good values. My only comment about that is that if you do that, you're looking at good value, and then are you going to buy 3 cases of that? Because I don't think I'd put $1,000 into him in if I'm hunting him, right? And if you pay $390 in one case and you don't do well, you just get some bases, you're going to have a bitter taste in your mouth. Just keep that in mind when you're building your strategy. Think of 3 cases of what you might be going after, and if you're like, what I like about the quarterbacks is quarterback bases are going to give you some value, and then those extra cards they have are good. But look at the mangas. Like I said, if Atlanta might have some, like I'll give you an example. The Chiefs have a lot of great value because Mahomes has freaking, I think, 15 different inserts, right? Nice. And every one of them's worth value. He has the profile, he has the blueprint, he has the color blast, he has a manga. I mean, so the Chiefs, I actually looked at, have good value, and I want to say the guy over at Break Card or Sports Card Analysis kind of did the same thing. Chiefs have good value. They also have autographs. They have the rookies. They have a couple of good rookies that could do well. If that Rice guy ever turns things on and catches balls, you never know. So a real quick comment. I saw somebody make a comment about they don't think government would regulate sports cards. I used to not think they would either. What I think might bring them into that is the whole gambling thing. Gambling is going to be regulated. It's going to be taxed. There's a lot of money in it. States are looking at it. They're all over it. I think if this gets on their radar, and I think if Fanatics wants to grow, and Fanatics has already announced they're going to audit their distribution. They want to add confidence to this industry. So even if it's not government regulated, even if it's self-regulated, there will be better pillars in place. Because here's what I'm saying. I want to get to a position where I know that there's no risk of my buying into breaks, right? Where I know I'm getting a fair price, where I know I'm getting the product shipped to me. The breaker's been, licensed or verified, something that's gone and backs that up, right? Fanatics Live, whether you like them or not, you believe that Fanatics Live is going to back you up if that breaker screws you, right? Whatnot. They do back some of the stuff up, So if that gets a little stronger, I think breaking, and I will say this too, I think breaking is the future of the hobby. I think the manufacturers know that. They know they can sell 500 cases to one guy sitting in his house, breaking cards all weekend, versus selling them to one local card store who's going to sell them locally and cannot sell 50 cases. They cannot do it in time. I'm just telling you, the volume that breakers do, whether you love them or not, is amazing. And we as a hobby should appreciate that because it gets the cards out, man. So I'm a big fan of the breaking, and that's the kind of goal of my channel, is to show you how you can do breaking and make money, have fun, learn community. I love it.
Yeah, let's take some of these comments here. I want to shout out Sean G in our chat. Collector's Dream from your channels out here. Joel Garza talking about some different strategy angles. Travis House and James Wynn in the chat. Josh Giddy, our man Derek. Pat Perry wanted to know how much for grading. I think generally here you're talking PSA. I know they sometimes they run specials at $15 per card on modern stuff under a certain declared value, which from my understanding, my experience now, you always want to put in the value of what a PSA 10 of that card is worth, because the whole reason why they have that declared value so they can insure the shipment properly on the way back to you. And so if it's a 10, they want to make sure they have the card insured properly. So it's typically 15. Yeah, Joel already answered it, $15 or $20.
Yeah. I will say this though, real quickly. That is the case right now. They have the special. If you are a submitter, you can get 15. Subbers are not giving you 15, right? So I still use my subber. He's giving me a little discount, but I still assume at $20 is what I spend in grading to send a card, to get it reviewed, to get it shipped, and that's still fine with me. I'm okay with that. I still use PSA. I'm fine with getting an upcharge, by the way. I'm a big fan of SCV Sports Cards. A guy who's been out there recently talking about how he buys raw and grades. I agree with him in a lot of his comments. I don't love PSA, but I appreciate and respect what PSA's done. They've defined the business. They give great value. They have highest return. I am not rushing my cards to SCG to be first to market. That's not important to me. I think I've got the experience to time the market where I want to be. I'll also say this too. I understand why cards go for so much in the beginning. Like right now, wait for the first PSA 10s and 9s to come back of all these cards. The first base cards are going to be crazy. We're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe you spent that much for it. And that will dip. But what I will tell you, in my opinion, once the dip is over, if we look 6 months from now, CJ's PSA 9 will still have more value than it will be raw, right? Whatever that price might be. So I want to be in that position that I have a bunch of 9s and 10s ready. Another thing I'll tell you too that I've considered doing is buying cards directly from some of the guys in breaks. Like I'll be in breaks and I watch the guy buying the Texans and he's chasing the color. And I've offered, hey, can I buy your Texans from you? I'll give you, 40 a piece, right? So I've looked at maybe to start buying bulk base Prizm cards from some of the guys I've been in breaks with. That's another thing I recommend. So if you're in breaks, you start to meet people, you start to build a community. You can tell people because they want cash, right? So you can tell the breaker and anybody, hey, Texans, I'll give $40 for every base CJ you hit if you want to give them to me. And you send the PayPal to the breaker gives credit to the guy buying the breaks, and the breaker's going to ship those cards directly to you. That's another great thing to do at this time of season. I'll also say this too, as I look forward, there are no products coming up that I'm excited about breaking in football right now. Not on the radar right now. There's some patch products coming out without the autographs and the uncertainty there. I don't know. I don't see contenders on the list, and I don't know what I will do with contenders. I'm going to need to see the checklist. Optics not on the list yet either. I'm excited to see where that is. They'll have some inserts. I looked at Absolute. I think Absolute's too expensive of a product to go in just really chasing. You're really chasing the glass cards and the kabooms, right? Because you're not really going to get much money off of grading a base CJ Absolute card, if that makes sense. So I will say if I have some cards come back from grading from basketball, I'll be selling. If I get a little powder, some dry powder, I might buy some more NFL breaks here in the future. NBA basketball is coming out too, which is going to get a lot of my attention.
Yeah. which is cool, man. Which is cool. Whatever you enjoy doing, right? There's a lot of angles. I want to address this super chat. Well, first of all, we appreciate the super chat, J Max you. But I mean, I'll let you take I disagree with this statement because I think it's very vague and it kind of lacks context, right? Because I think you can find value in a variety of different ways in someone's product. Like Panini, they make a product that we purchase and resell for profit and collect. And so, yeah, I don't really understand this comment, I guess, per se. I think it's lacking context. Ziggy, what do you think?
Well, I think it's interesting. It's funny. I'm sitting here with the big Panini sign, which I just want to let everyone know. I have more signs here, just that one blows up for some reason here. And I've been a critic of Panini for a long time. I will say this. I respect the game. I understand this industry. I'll give you an example. I don't beat up on Panini for not putting game-worn stuff in jerseys anymore. Guys, we have to realize that's not going to happen anymore. I don't think Topps is going to do it either, because these jerseys are expensive in their entirety, right? Like it's lunacy to think to myself that we really want them to take these jerseys and cut them up. I always thought cutting up jerseys was weird, right? So I don't punish Panini for that. I mean that. Like, I'll give you another example I think is weird too. Cut autographs are weird to me too. And what I mean by that, when you get a Babe Ruth autograph and you can see it was cut from the check or maybe from some personalized autograph and then added to a card, I think that's weird to me. Right? Because the whole sense of an autograph was you met somebody and they basically just cut it off and stick it on a card. So I'm not going to blame Panini for that. They make whatever people want to buy. What I will say is Panini they've kept it interesting. They didn't give up and surrender to Fanatics, right? You can bitch all you want. This year is going to be interesting. I could tell you if Fanatics had the license, we'd pay a hell of a lot more right now. Look what Fanatics did recently with the CJs. They dropped the autographs again this week or last week, $600 per CJ autograph. I mean, think about it. That's crazy, man. So
that is wild.
To talk about Panini and value, I'll put it this way. Panini's doing what they're doing. There is value. People would argue there's value in Leaf, right? There's value in Sage. So I think what it is the industry and the timing and even the play of players like CJ have put value that we didn't see before, right? If CJ wasn't playing well, we maybe wouldn't be spending as much time on Prizm football right now. But I'm excited. Like I said, CJ's excitement has brought a lot. Like I'm a CJ fan, man. I want him going all the way to Super Bowl. But if he loses, I don't care. I'm still in a good position with my cards.
Yeah, I thought, and then I saw this comment from Jay Maxio about nobody cares about running back. Come on, man. How many times have you seen people make a serious profit this year on running backs? Jerome Ford, Kyron Williams. I mean, how many situations we have to go through? How expensive were, Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs rookie cards been this year? And then this one really sealed the deal because Derrick Henry is not even close to making the Hall of Fame. Not even close. You can go to Pro Football Hall of Fame tracker, profootballreference.com, and the average score for a Hall of Fame running back is 107, and Derrick Henry's at 38. I mean, he's just not even close. He's like a tier above Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, these guys just aren't even close. I mean, it's without a championship ring, with only 9,500 total yards and 90 touchdowns. He's not going to get there, man. He's not going to get there. I mean, he's got to have 15,000 yards. So maybe if he plays another 3 to 5 years, switches teams, gets a ring, and puts up another 5,000 yards, I think he gets there. But at this point, I don't think he does. And you see it every week. I mean, the running backs touch the ball quite a bit. I mean, they spike on a week-to-week basis. Devon Achane. I mean, we could keep going. I mean, there's a ton of running backs this year. And I think next year, after this year, you've seen what all these running backs have done, and there's been more bell cow running back situations in the league. Next year, it's going to be more balanced between running backs and wide receivers. And there's going to be more running backs taken in the first round of your fantasy drafts. This year, there was only Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, and that was really it. Next year, there's going to be 4 or 5 running backs, I think, taken in the first round along with wide receivers. And so it's kind of a big balancing effect. And running backs put up incredible highlights. So, I mean, I just, couldn't disagree.
What I'd add to this, Andy, is that one thing I'll say is I've been in cards since about 2015, 16. What has changed because of COVID, and I think in a positive way, is there are a lot more people interested in football cards than there were before, right? It is definitely one of the top products selling. So that has definitely brought the value of those running backs and those wide receivers and those non-positions up. So I am still one of those people who believes it's about the quarterback. I focus on the quarterback, but I appreciate the value those running backs, those wide receivers bring. I used to scoff on it before, look down on it, right? But I know the Tank Dell to 25, that comes like a PSA 10. That's probably $100 card, man. Okay, I'm not going to laugh at $100, right? And that guy could have a great career. And here's another thing too. There are a lot of player collectors, a lot of trading capabilities. So I would say, again, when I look at my strategy, I focus on quarterbacks. But as I mentioned when we talked the first time, what's great is when those quarterbacks have a wonderful supporting cast. Texans have a great supporting cast. You got a great wide receiver, and you got a great linebacker, right, who gets value. And again, it's not about, is he going to be worth as much money 3 years from now? No. But that's why I would sell him in the next 6 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, the difference is your fuse on how much time you have to sell him and when do you want to sell him. But there's definitely value. And again, I'd say this too. There's more value in Prizm than there is in any other product until Chrome comes along. And I'm looking forward to that. Like, I'm looking forward to Prizm ending and them not having the license and us moving over to Topps Chrome in the future. I don't want Topps to buy the license to Prizm. Like, I don't want Topps to be running Prizm football and Chrome football in the future. You see what I'm saying? There should be one flagship. And in my opinion, right now it's Prizm. While they have the license, in the future it will be Chrome. And I can't wait for that transition, right? And that's just, I think you got to be ready for that stuff. Prepare for that. Look for that. And the value that's going to have as well.
It's definitely going to have values. So Josh Giddey want to remind people that DJ Moore, he had a nice little rhyme. I was trying to find the rhyme he had about you earlier, but it's something about Ziggy the man, blah, blah, blah. So that was cool. Definitely make sure you guys check out Card Hunter channel, Ziggy's new Card Hunter channel, where he's putting out a lot of content about sports card strategy and stuff. And Josh Giddey he's wanting people to buy DJ Moore, which I can't disagree with. He's 2018 rookie. Yep. I think it's always smart when people are zigging, you zag. I mean, looking at the upcoming hype cycles, I mean, Ziggy, and you're taking one angle on a new product 2023, but of course, we got the free agency cycle coming up, the draft, September of next year. And the thing is, there's thousands of sold items every day on eBay. So there's a lot of profit being made. There's a lot of transactions going down. And it just depends on how you want to attack the market, right, Zig?
Yeah. And again, I think one of the things we're trying to teach people is that if you put yourself in a position to have a lot of cards to play with, you get a lot of opportunities, right? For example, I'm even looking at sending some of these cards off. I'm thinking about grading this with tag and keeping that in my PC with the tag grading company, right? It's a 1 of 1. And people talk about, should you grade a 1 of 1? Something about instead of grading it, I'll tag it. I'm also looking at maybe sending some of the base Prizm cards to Arena Club, so I can get them on Arena Club and do some trading on Arena Club, get some other cards. But that's the one thing I want you to think about. If you're in a break, don't buy a break when you're put yourself in a position to fully skunk. You should get something back. You buy a case break or a good team, you should get some fun value in that. And it puts you in a position where you can grade cards, trade cards, sell cards, do a lot with it. And again, I think that's what's going to be happening a lot more in the hobby as we grow the hobby.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see how Topps Chrome looks when they come back in. I wasn't a big fan. Like 2014 was great and 2013 was nice, but when they made 2015, like what were they doing? Topps Chrome 2015 was terrible, man. They had
Yeah,
that slick Chrome card with no Chrome finish on it. That was a weird set.
Also, they didn't have any good inserts. I don't remember any good inserts from Topps Chrome Football that I'm like, oh, I wish I had this. Where if you look at like this year's Prizm has got some amazing inserts, stuff I've never seen before. When I was watching breaks, I love the blueprint cards. They are gorgeous cards. The profile cards are gorgeous cards. The color blasts, they're back again. The mangas, whether you like them or not, they're nice cards. There's just so many cool. I don't know. I know Panini there's a lot of crap for not being innovative. I know they steal other ideas, but I appreciate they put a lot of stolen ideas in the Prizm this year, you know?
Yeah, man. So before we let you get out of here, Ziggy, let's finish off with a Super Bowl prediction. My Texans Lions prediction is not looking so crazy now. How are you feeling about this weekend?
As a holder of Hooker and CJ, baby, you know how much I love to see Texans and Lions. And I mean, seriously, because that would put Hooker on a team that already won a Super Bowl, right? So he's coming in on a franchise that's won a Super Bowl. He probably sits out next year. Boy, speculation is great. That would be awesome. I love that prediction. So my heart would love to see Lions and Texans. What does my mind think? My mind thinks it's going to be Bills and the 49ers. Although I will tell you guys, I have a futures bet that I put in months ago, actually, that the Chiefs beat the 49ers. And I think I get like $500 if that hits. So I will say I'm pulling for that one. Chiefs over 49ers. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Chiefs get knocked out this week. I think it's going to be Bills, 49ers. 49ers win. Bills would not get another Super Bowl. They'll never get a Super Bowl. They're not going to win one. And that's my pick. My heart would love Lions, Texans, like you said. So we'll see where it goes, man. Thank you very much, man, for this time. I really enjoyed this. Love sharing. I'll stay in touch. No plans so far as I'll let you know when some PSA cards coming back as well. We'll talk in the future. If anybody wants to learn anything, hear anything, have any questions, let me know. But really enjoyed this. And like I said, next big products coming out, Contenders, Optic. And we'll talk about NT. We'll look at NT in the future and whether we chase that in breaks or not. That's a dangerous one, but we'll talk more about that in the future, man. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds good, guys. All right, y'all. Good luck this weekend. Ziggy, thanks for coming on again. Shout out to everybody from your channel. Appreciate all you guys. Make sure you're tuned in. Subscribe, like the video. We'll see you next time. Peace.